Thank you so much. Today I'm going to be presenting my presentation for the course of Globalization. And my name is Rahmat Ullah, and my registration number is 21317. And the topic that I'm going to be presenting is teaching methods and resources in the Indian subcontinent. What is the Indian subcontinent? In South Asia, these three countries, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, these three countries make the Indian subcontinent. That was formerly one single state, but now it has been divided into three. This presentation is a group presentation, and other members of my group are Faisal Akho, Uzma Fayyaz, myself Rahmat Ullah, Maryam Khan, Insaf Ali, and Yusra Parvez. And each one of us have our own individual topics in order to talk about the models for English in the Indian subcontinent. So the first part of this presentation, as has already been presented by Faisal Akho, she presented history and background to the Indian English, and then Uzma Fayyaz presented models of Indian English. The Kachru, Uzma Fayyaz presented the models of Indian English, the Kachru model, the dynamic model, etc. And now it is my turn to talk about the teaching methods and resources of the Indian English in the subcontinent, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. And after me, Maryam Khan will be presenting features of the Indian English, and then domain and function of the Indian English will be presented by Insaf Ali, and finally Yusra Parvez will talk about the future and scope of Indian English. Now let's begin it with my topic, teaching methods and resources in the Indian subcontinent. Now first of all, let me explain to you that there are three different types of educational systems in the Indian subcontinent. The government schooling method, and the private schooling system, and the Cambridge O and A level schooling system. These three schooling systems are actually responsible for the incoherence in the English language teaching and the overall scientific education teaching in the Indian subcontinent. Now, the government schooling system is the most backward type of teaching system here in the Indian subcontinent, because the teaching method in government schools is traditional teaching method. Traditional teaching method is mostly the grammar translation teaching method, where they translate Urdu or Hindi, they translate from Urdu or Hindi to English. Then this is the reason why there are many problems. There are so many problems in the Indian English, and the Indian English or the subcontinent English is different from that of native speakers English, like British English and American English, Australian English, etc. So the government, as I mentioned, in the government schools, they have traditional teaching method, and there is no research and study for change. They should bring some changes. They should bring changes in order to make Indian English coherent with the native speakers English. But this is not actually the case, because there is no research and there is no study for change in the government schooling system. And the syllabus that is taught at the government schooling system is outdated. The teachers are untrained. Usually, as I mentioned earlier, the GTM approach to teaching English is practiced. GTM is where they translate from Urdu to English, or they translate from Hindi to English, or they translate from Bengali to English. And this is then responsible for many problems in the Indian English. And the final thing, the final element in the government schooling system is the lack of resources. Lack of resources. I mean, they do not make the use of native speakers English. The native speakers, resources, resources such as audios and videos and authentic material. They should be using the authentic material. However, they do not because of the outdated teaching method. Now, when it comes to the problems that they have with the Indian English, why Indian English is different from this native speakers English, and why is it a different variety? It is a different variety of English. Mostly it is acceptable. This variety of English is also an acceptable variety of English, especially in this specific area where we live, this India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. But the L1 interference is there. What is the L1? L1 is the mother tongue interference is there. And the L1 syntax, sometimes in the government schools, you will find teachers and students speaking in this manner. They say like, I food eat, right? I class take, or things like that, because this is their incompetence. In government schooling system, the English is in pathetic condition. Even the teachers cannot speak English properly. So as I said, in Indian English there are a couple of problems, and this is then the reason why Indian English is different from the native speakers English. The L1 interference is one of the problems, is one of the distinctions that Indian English has with the native speakers English. You will find teachers and the incompetent teachers who are incompetent with English, you will find them speak English like I food eat, I class take, I English teach, I car drive, etc. They do not know, they only try to convey the message, and even if you ask them to not speak this type of English, they say, well, I have been able to convey my message, so that is fine. So this is their incompetence, and then this is the reason why sometimes they are misunderstood by native speakers, and their variety of English is for this reason different. Moreover, they also speak like me and my friend. Now this me and my friend is the Urdu translation or the Hindi translation, because in Hindi and Urdu we usually say me or mere dost wahan gaye. But this is not the case what native speakers speak, or what native speakers syntax is. Native speakers would say my friend and I. And secondly, word forward translation is too much in Indian English, because they translate from their native languages to English. They say things like I eat biryani in lunch. Now it should be for lunch. Native speakers would say for lunch. They would not say in lunch. So, and pollution is harmful for environment. Now this for environment is because of the L1 interference. Native speakers would say, I'm sorry for the interruption. There is again and again some interruption by the software. So native speakers would say that pollution is harmful to the environment. They will never say for the environment. Now this for in Indian English is coming from the Hindi or Urdu translation, because we say aludgi mahol ke liye nuksandeh. So ke liye translates to English as for. Therefore, then in Indian English we usually have this term for. And then indigenous lexes, I mean indigenous vocabulary. There are a couple of vocabulary that are used here in this area. For instance, brinjal. Now for brinjal, a native speaker from the Great Britain would say aubergine, and a native speaker from the US, the United States of America, would say eggplant. However, in the Indian English, you will find or you will hear the word brinjal a lot. Similarly, they use the word garden for orchards, like, because the bar that they have, the greenery part that they have in their house, they call it a garden. And if they have some trees, some area where they grow trees, and they grow trees of fruit. So those fruit trees area is also known as garden in the Indian English mostly, especially those who have studied at the government schools. And when we go towards private schooling system, so they are just so-called English medium schools. They are expensive, of course. They are not for everybody, and most of the students in the Indian subcontinent go to the government schools, because most of the population, a vast majority of Indian people, whether you talk about Pakistan, India, or Bangladesh, most of them are living their lives under the poverty line, and only the government schools are affordable for them. However, when it comes to private schooling systems, so private schooling system is a bit expensive than the government schools, and therefore it is not approachable or affordable for everybody in the country or in this continent. So-called English medium, as I just said, that they are so-called English medium. They claim that they are English medium schools, but they are not in reality English medium schools, because they use the Urdu to English translation. This Urdu to English translation is actually not good for the native speakers English or for the real English. And less trained teachers. The teachers are also, I mean, they're comparatively better than the government school teachers, but they are still less trained. They do not have adequate training for teaching English. And then medium of instruction is Urdu. Even if they are taking their English classes, they teach in Urdu. They explain everything in Urdu. Their means of communication is Urdu or Hindi or Bengali or the regional languages. And then there are many other regional languages. Alone in Pakistan, we have 74 languages. So in the major languages like Pashto, Urdu, Punjabi, and Sindhi, like in Sindh, they usually have means of communication, Sindhi as means of communication. So their education language even is Sindhi. And in Karachi, usually it is Urdu in English medium schools or the private schools. Again, as I said, that teachers are less trained, but still they have a couple of training sessions for teachers, which is a good point, which helps their teachers enhance their skills, their teaching skills. And then the Urdu Hindi to English translation, Urdu to Urdu to English translation, or Hindi to English translation. So how do they do it? As I mentioned earlier, they identify tenses with the help of Urdu or Hindi endings. For instance, they say raha hai, rahi hai, rahe hai. If there is raha hai, rahi hai, rahe in the end of a sentence, so that sentence belongs to a present progressive tense. And if it is chuka, chuki, chuke, so it is present perfect tense. Or if it is tha, thi, te, so it is past tense. These are all Urdu endings. These are all Urdu terminologies that they usually employ in order to teach English, which is not an appropriate manner. And this is then the reason why their thought process while they are speaking English is different from native speakers English, because they first translate in Urdu and then they translate into English their message. And native speakers do not do this. Native speakers directly think in English and they speak in English. So this then differentiates between the Indian English and the native speakers English. Also, for first conditionals, they say I will pass the exams if I will work hard. So this will double future. I mean, for double future we have special condition in English, as native speakers use first conditional, where we say I will pass if I work hard. So I will pass the exam if I work hard. So the second will is what it is erroneous. They should not use this second will, but because in Urdu or in Hindi we use both the sentences in future tense, like मैं कामयाब हो जाऊंगा अगर मेहनत करूंगा. So both the sentences are in future. For this reason, then they use double future even in English, which is incorrect. And then this is the reason why this Indian English is different from the native speaker American or British English. Now let's watch a small video where an Indian teacher is teaching English, and let's find out how he teaches in his class. And let me make my point of let me clear my point of teaching in Urdu, how they teach English in Urdu. So this is Urdu to English teaching. Let's find it out.
You don't write a letter.
You don't write a letter.
They don't write a letter.
They don't write a letter.
He does not write a letter.
He does not write a letter.
She does not write a letter.
She does not write a letter.
Right.
Right.
Present continuous.
Present continuous.
रहा है नहीं है, रहा है नहीं है.
रहा नहीं है.
If you hear here, so he is saying raha hai, rahi hai, rahe hai, present continuous. So raha hai, rahi hai, these are actually identifications that he is using in order to teach present continuous tense.
रहा है नहीं है.
रही है.
I am writing a letter.
I am writing a letter.
We are writing a letter.
We are writing a letter.
You are writing a letter.
You are writing a letter.
And this is the drill also. They use these drills. They again and again repeat the same sentences. And first of all, they translate one sentence from Hindi to English, and then they repeat those sentences again and again in order to do what? In order to practice. They call it English teaching or English practice, because they say practice makes man perfect. The more you speak, the more you repeat, the more you improve. This is what they think. So this is their approach to teaching in the private schooling system.
Writing a letter.
Right. Writing a letter.
Writing a letter.
Right. Writing a letter. Right. Present perfect.
चुका है, चुकी है, लिया है, दिया है.
चुका है, चुकी है, लिया है.
I, we, you, they, have.
I am you, they have.
He, she, Ram, Sita.
Now see, he is now converting, or he is now moving to present perfect tense, and he is again and again repeating words like chuka hai, chuki hai. So this is how he makes his students identify this tense, present perfect.
Has.
He, she, Ram, Sita, has.
I have taken the pizza.
I have taken the pizza.
We have taken the pizza.
We have taken the pizza.
You have taken the pizza.
You have taken the pizza.
Take.
Take.
Now this is also one of the variations in the Indian English, that they usually use the word take for things that are eaten or drunk. But native speakers I think usually use words like eat and have and consume in formal context. But only for coffee, in informal English, they use the word take, like they say, let's go and take some coffee. But in everyday speeches, usually they use the word have rather than take. But especially for eating, like pizza and burger and things like that, I think never say that take pizza or things like that. But this gentleman who is teaching in India, he is saying that take pizza. So take pizza, I believe, is definitely contrary to the native speakers' English.
Take, take, take.
Take, take, take. Take, take, take.
Taken the pizza. Taken the pizza.
Taken the pizza. Taken the pizza.
Past indefinite. Past indefinite.
Past indefinite. Past indefinite.
Tata didi dethe. Tata didi dethe.
Tata didi tete. Tata didi tete.
Ya. E.
Now, past indefinite, past simple tense, he is teaching through tha, thi, the, like tha, 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 thi, 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 or things like that, right? So these are the identification. This is how he is making his students understand that what this past simple tense is. And because his teaching approach is erroneous, so he is, like before this, he just said, taken the pizza, taken the pizza. Now, where is helping verb have or has? So he should use have and has with taken, like have taken the pizza, have taken. Even if he is using the word taken, so he should associate the helping verb with it. However, he is not doing it. Why? Because he is not a well-trained teacher. He is not a well-trained ELT practitioner. So this was a small video demonstration of how Indian teachers teach English, and then this is the reason why their English is different from native speakers English, because the way you teach English, if it is different, so ultimately the result is going to be different. Now, when it comes to the Cambridge schooling system, so this is the most expensive type of schooling system in the Indian subcontinent that we call O levels and A levels. And this is too expensive for a vast majority of the public here in the Indian subcontinent. But this is the most authentic type of English teaching or schooling teaching or scientific education teaching. The teachers are highly trained. Mostly, these Cambridge schooling systems do not usually take teachers who are not at least masters. So teachers who are at least masters are taken at the Cambridge schooling systems, and then for this reason I call them highly trained teachers. So only the elite class can afford it. And elite class in Pakistan and India and in Bangladesh, in these three countries, the subcontinental countries, elite class is like around 2 to 3% or maximum 5%. So only maximum 5% people have access to this good schooling system, and they can speak English well, almost like native speakers. And frequent teacher training sessions they have. Every 3 months or every 4 months they have a session of teachers training, and that teacher training session usually benefit the teachers a lot, because they learn the contemporary approaches to teaching English and English speaking environment they have. Teachers are not allowed to speak in Urdu, Hindi or some other regional language. They have to speak in English when they are taking an English language class, and they are rich with resources. They have handouts, they have all the resources, audio, video handouts, they have online resources, they have offline resources, every type of resources they have available for their students and for their teachers to employ. Now, what do the teachers all around, all the government school teachers, the private school teachers, and the Cambridge OA levels teachers need to do? Why do they need to do all these things that I'm going to talk about? Because they need to bring coherence in the Indian English and native speakers English, like American English and British English. So they should first of all learn ELT methods. What are the ELT methods? ELT methods are methods like CLT, communicative language teaching, which is probably the most modern approach to teaching. Like, they should directly teach English into English, not in some other language. and they should know what GTM is. GTM is the grammar translation method, which is the most outdated, and which is the most oldest, which is the oldest type of teaching method. And this type of teaching, or this type of English teaching method used to be applied by teachers for the classical languages. Classical languages are like Latin languages, Latin language, French language, and English language in the beginning. So when they used to, in the beginning, when they used to teach uh, uh, Latin, and they used to translate Latin into English or French or some other language, they used to employ the GTM approach, but now it doesn't work. And then DM is the second approach that replaced GTM, which is direct method, and then total physical response, and then there are many other. So the best teaching approach even in today's era is the blended approach or the eclectic approach. What is eclectic or blended approach? Blend is mixture of different types of approaches. So if teachers employ a blended approach, or they employ eclectic approach to teaching English, they can tremendously help their students, and they can speak English, or they can use English as per native speakers. Uh, then be fluent. Teachers need to be fluent, whether they are in government schools, they are in private schools, or they are Cambridge. So they must be fluent in English, so that they speak to their students in English fluently, so that because they are the role models for their students. Once they are the role models, then they can of course help their students with their English. And then they must communicate in only English. I mean, they must only communicate in English language when they are in their class, and they should get in touch with the international community of ELT. They're on Facebook, and there are many other forums like LinkedIn, and there are many other forums where they can find out ELT practitioners internationally, where native speakers are also there, and non-native speakers are also there, or non-native speakers at native level are there, so they can benefit by interacting with those teachers. And they must employ authentic resources. Authentic resources are what? Authentic resources are the everyday English resources that native speakers use, like there are journals, there are websites, there are channels like news channels, and there are news websites like BBC, CNN, and Fox News, National Geographic. All these websites they must use. And then there are native speakers produced channels and online resources that they can, and I will just in a while show you. So what are the resources that they should employ? The resources are, the best resources that I found out are the Cambridge Assessment English materials for English learners, and the Oxford University Press materials, and then the US Embassy has also created one website that they call English Teaching Forum. These forums and are the best forums for English teaching and for English learning, and if students use these websites, I think they can benefit the most, and they can learn the native speakers English. And for recordings, for audio video, they can simply go to BBC, CNN, National Geographic, etc. Now if you allow me to, this is the Cambridge Assessment English website, where we can just click this learning English. So if learning English, if we click the learning English, so here we can find out what test your English, exam preparation, free activities, etc. And then there are thousands and hundreds of activities here, so only 176 free activities are here. Now you click and play with this activity and learn authentic English. And then this is the Oxford University Press website. On this website we can learn the native speakers English, and in this manner we can bring coherence in the native speakers English and the Indian subcontinent English. And then when it comes to the American English, so this is the website I was talking about. They call it what? They call it English Teaching Forum. This is the English Teaching forum. So these resources are the best resources. Now, due to lack of time, I will not be able to go into to these websites for details, but any teacher can approach these websites and they can make the most of these websites. So I hope everything that I discussed regarding the teaching methods and resources of the Indian subcontinent is clear to you people. And now if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I tried to make my point regarding the model of Indian English, why this model of Indian English is different from the American English and British English. So this is what I try to explain to you people. Now if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. Thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.